everybody, it's April, and I am wearing my fabulously fun Loony Legs leggings. You can find those at loonylegs.com. Today we are talking about core strength, and by core I'm talking about anything in the middle. So that's your abs, it's your side body, it's your lower back as well. So we're going to work on 3 of my favorite core strengtheners, and that is boat pose, forearm plank, and side plank. And you are going to love all of them. I'm going to give a few modifications, how to make them harder, easier, and how you can work your way up to really strengthening your core. So we're starting with boat pose, also known as Navasana. Now, a lot of times boat pose gets a bad rap. I mean, I'll have to tell you quite honestly that I used to hate boat pose. And then I had my shoulder worked on. I had rotator cuff surgery several years ago. And that was the only core strengthener I could really do without bothering my shoulder during recovery. And I actually learned to love it. So I want to share with you how to get into it. And like I said in the intro, a few modifications and how you can make it a little more challenging if you're ready for that. So starting off, you want to find your balance on your sits bone. So that's just leaning back until your feet become light and you can hold your hands underneath your thighs. Now here's a big correction I have to make every time. You want a nice long spine, but look at how I'm kind of rounding right now. So I actually exaggerate the movement of lifting my chest, pulling my shoulders down and back, and then really engaging my belly. So I've already got a nice boat pose going on. But maybe you're ready to add a little bit. Maybe you extend your legs, still keep your chest lifted. So I'm looking for like an inverted, you're looking for a V shape with your body. Now maybe you can let go, still keep that form, pulling in your belly, keeping your chest lifted. And you want your legs and hands, you want your fingertips about at your knees. That's how wide you are with your V shape. Holding, breathing, and I kind of just say, I hold as long as I can. I would say at least for a few breaths, and then you can release. So adding on, or to make it a little more difficult, is actually a low boat. And low boat is just what it says. You're starting in your high boat and you're lowering back down. So find your boat, again, pull those shoulders back, pull in your belly, find your nice boat, and then see if you can lower down, not all the way, and then come back up again. Whew, that one is tough. Sometimes you can make it a little more accessible by keeping your knees bent. So maybe you lower down, keep your knees bent, and then come back up again. And that actually allows you to use a little bit of momentum while you're doing it. So another variation of boat that I like is I'm turning around because I like doing a side to side. And I keep my knees bent for this. This actually gives you a little more of a workout in your obliques on your sides. I feel them engaging right now. So I like to bring my hands in a fist. You could also use a block if you wanted. Again, find that length, pull your shoulders down, pull in your belly, and then you're tapping side to side, or actually just shifting side to side. So it's right, center, left, center. You can think of it as kind of like you're rowing your boat. Or like I said, if you use a block, you can tap, come back to center, keep going. Oh my, I feel the burn when I'm doing this. Woo-wee, hold, keep pulling in your belly, keep your movement. Maybe you try to do this 10 times and then you can release. And I think it always feels good to bring my knees into my chest and just hold for a moment to take a nice full cycle breath. Another variation, and this one's pretty tough. I'm going to turn back to the side again. So I think this one is a little tougher, like I said. So you're finding your boat, bring your arms up overhead, keep your belly pulling in, and then see if you can pedal like you're pedaling your bicycle. Oh my goodness. Keep your belly pulling in, keep your chest lifted. Oh my, keep going. You can do it. Hold, breathe, hold, woo! And then bring your knees into your chest and take a moment. So one of my very, very, very favorite core strengtheners is plank pose. I plank just about every day. I actually plank for 5.5 minutes. You do not have to do that. That's just something I worked up to And I love it. I love what it's done for me. I love how it's an all over workout, but it's especially good for strengthening your core. And I know I didn't mention it before, but you know, your core is what helps with your balance, helps with your ability to walk and to climb stairs, and it really comes from core strength. So we're going to start with forearm plank, and then we'll do a side plank. So one of the big things about planking though is that you have the right form. So we want to start off, like, you know, I'm in my table right now. So you start in your table, bring your forearms down to the floor, and then I like to wrap my hands around my biceps just so I know I have the right distance between my arms. And then bring your forearms out in front of you. You can interlace your fingers if you like, or you can just keep your hands flat. Then just set things up. Pull your shoulders down your back. Lift your upper back. Lift your chest so you're actually broadening your upper back. And then pull in your belly, come up on your toes, and then shift your weight forward slightly. So you want that nice long line. And then once I set it up, I do everything again. So I'm pressing into the floor again, broadening my upper back, pulling in my belly, tightening up my glutes. My gaze is just in front of my fingertips. So you're holding and breathing. If you need to come down on your knees for a few seconds, you can. But here's what I encourage you to do. Find your plank, have your stopwatch. Try to hold as long as you can. Hold a little bit longer, and then maybe you come down on your knees. And then maybe you rest, and then do it again. So that's one of the things you can do with your plank. Something else I encourage people to do while they're planking is to have their camera on so they can see what their form looks like. So you don't have to record yourself, you don't have to post it or anything, but just have it on so you can see what you look like. Because a lot of times people are in their plank, they think they've got it going on and they really don't. And I'll show you a couple of the common mistakes people make while they're planking. So you're setting everything up again. And like I said, I plank every day, but I still walk through this in my mind and with my body, pulling everything in, pulling in my belly. I even pretend like somebody's punching me in the stomach. That's how much you're engaging your abs when you're planking. So one common mistake is people bring their shoulder blades together. No. You want to broaden, separate your shoulders. Keep it nice and almost rounded is how your upper body should be. Another common mistake is letting their hips drop, and that puts way too much pressure in your lower back. So if you plank and you start feeling like it's hurting your lower back, chances are you're letting your hips drop. And then one other thing I see a lot is people having their hips up too high, which is actually more like a dolphin pose. It makes it a lot easier, but it's not a plank. So one thing I would throw out is if you feel like plank is easy, you're probably doing it wrong. But the more you do it, I used to say the more you plank, the easier it gets. But another instructor corrected me and said, no, the more you do it, the stronger you'll get. And she was absolutely right. One of the things I love about plank is that there's so many variations, so many different ways you can do it. They're all going to be working your abs, but side plank in particular helps work the obliques, which is on the sides of your abs. So we're going to start in our forearm plank, pulling in your belly, find your nice plank, keep your knees lifted, shoulder blades separating, pressing into the floor, pulling in your belly, and then we're going to move into side plank. So I'm bringing my forearm in more of a parallel to the top of my mat, and then rolling over onto the side, stacking my feet, lifting my hips. You don't have to reach your arm up, but I like doing that. I feel like it gives me more lift in my hips. You're also pressing the sole of your bottom foot toward the floor. You want to avoid collapsing in that bottom ankle bone. If this is really, really difficult for you, you can bring that one hip down, keep your knee bent, have your leg extended, and then lift. So you're still getting that lift, still working your obliques, still working your muscles in your arms and your shoulders, but it's just not quite as difficult as if you have your feet stacked. Another favorite of mine is side plank on my hand. So, and this is more of an arm balance. It is more difficult, but I have some modifications for you. So again, starting off in your table, you're going to find your plank, separating your shoulders, pulling in your belly. Bring your right hand under your face and then open up your chest, reaching your top arm to the sky, lifting your hips, pressing the sole of your bottom foot toward the floor. Stay nice and lifted. If this is really wobbly for you, because this is a balancing act, you can bring your top foot in front of you, and that will help with the balance issue. If it's just really, really difficult, maybe you bring your bottom knee, just like we did in the side plank, on the forearm plank, bring it to the mat and keep lifting. Lifting, lifting, stay nice and lifted out of that bottom shoulder. Oh my goodness, you will, if you plank every day, or at least several times a week, you will find that you do get so much stronger. Your arms are gonna get so much more toned, and you'll notice a difference in your core. Find a way to add plank to your yoga workout. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe to the Loony Legs YouTube channel so you don't miss the next episode. And of course, you can follow me, Handstanding Grandma, for even more fun. See you soon.